How y'all feeling today? Who joined us today? My man, my broski, just Jimmy, my guy. Got like 20 years in, man. Plus 30 years. I'm sorry, 30 years. But yeah, man, Wealth Wednesdays. We here again each and every Wednesday, man. Your boy, the Urban Accountant. Like I tell everybody always, my goal is to help empower people when it comes to finance. It's a subject that's not covered a lot in school anymore. Not sure why, uh, but it needs to be. But we're going to do it here. Uh, some people that haven't been with us throughout the other Wolf Wednesdays, just a little background. I've been in the Texas financial game for about 14 years now. We serve clients all across the world. And I just enjoy helping people when it comes to money. But today, being as though tax season has started, um, we're giving out money. Millions and millions of dollars are going to be put out to the world, and I felt it to talk about, what I think a lot of people get this kind of, confusing that budgeting is only when you're in a bad situation, or budgeting happens when I'm broke, and that's not true. Like budgeting is actually the key to successful finances. And I'll tell you guys a story about how I kind of came to that, conclusion a little while back. But if you look at like all successful companies and how they do things, they run the business on a budget, and I think you should also get into the mindset of running your life on a budget. And I really want to make that clear that when you hear the word budget, it doesn't mean you're in a bad situation. It just really actually means you have control. And a budget is like a roadmap. Could you just drive from here to California? Yes. But is it smarter to use a GPS so you know where you need a detour? It's just going to help. Like it guides you, take some of the work out of it. So today we're going to talk about, how to kind of set up a successful budget, just give you some tips and tricks on how you can accomplish that. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm always going to start with a mindset. It has to be a mindset. Like I can give you all the game, I can give you every form, every tool, every calculator, I can do it for you. But if you're not committed to it, it's not going to work. So, as always, the first one is I call it commit to the future of you. What do you want to accomplish with this budget? It may be saving for college for your kids. It may be saving for a new home. Maybe saving for a boat. It may be just one of those things you want to see where your money's going. So before you really dive into the budget, I think you really have to have that self check in. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And this is how I'm going to get there. And stay committed to it. It's going to be a lot of hurdles that you jump over. Social media throws advertisements at us. TV's throwing advertisements at us. You got all these things like Affirm and credit cards and things where you can buy it now, pay for it later. A lot of those things are traps. So you got to really have that self determination and mental discipline to commit to the budget. So number one, if you're writing these things down, I want you to say to myself that I'm going to commit to the future of me. So commit to the future of you is the first step to really setting that budget up. Uh, like I mentioned before, this is going to be number two. We're going to talk about determining what you need and want out of life. It was a long, so I'll tell you my story. I got into business a while back, and business started to become very successful for me. I was making a lot of money, but I had bad spending habits. And I as I laugh at this. I had a mindset of I said it to myself and my close friends and know I didn't care what was going out. I only cared about what was coming in. So in my mindset, as long as I can make it, I can spend it. But as your expenses start to grow and you're enjoying life more, partying more, buying things more, you're not really focused on what you're making. So it kind of catches up. And I'm telling I was just spending money. I'm going in, the designer stores, just blowing the bag. sections at the club, blowing the bag 3, 4 nights a week, just blowing the bag. And I noticed that I kept coming up short around the month of October. October became my bad month where my finances weren't in line. And I really got tired of that feeling personally of like, how am I broke? And that's how I got into budgeting, was being broke. Yours may be different. Like I said, you may have money and you just want to know where it's going. But to me, mine was I was running out of money too quick. I was making enough, but I was running out of money very, very quickly. So I said to myself, I don't like this feeling. I had to make a change. I have children, that really depend on me. I want to see them do well in the future. So if I continued on to that path that I was going, it was going to put them in a bad situation. So I had to say to myself, how do I change? So I started to really determine what I needed and what I wanted out of life. I still enjoy myself, maybe not as much, but all that is included in my budget on, what I really want to spend hanging out. What am I going to invest in for my kids in the future? So those are things that you want to do. Number two would be determining what you need and want out of life. Like, really figure out what's important, what's not important. What do I really need? What do I don't? What don't I need? What can I live with? What can I live without? So determining what you need and want out of life is really like the second pyramid, the second brick to this pyramid that we're building when we're talking about budgeting. The next thing is really, you have to really be honest with yourself. And a lot of times with budgeting, if you have a partner, if you don't, this is like one of the hardest steps I see when I work with clients, is really the portion of tracking your spending for the month to see where you can cut back. And this is where a lot of people aren't true with themselves. Like, they're going to forget things, and like, we want to track everything: Netflix, Hulu, that money you spend at Wawa, bubble gum. Like, if we really, really want to correct this and get a hold of what's going on and really make a true plan, you have to be super duper honest with yourself and tracking your habits. That's what we're trying to do. What am I spending on? Where am I spending my money? Where's my money going? How many nights am I eating out a week? I was talking to a friend of mine, and we just talked about how much we spend on breakfast, and really tracking that. And like, it starts to add up. Like, if you're spending $10 a week just on breakfast, it's $50 a week. You add the math, you do the math, it's a lot of money. So really, what can I cut back on? And that's one of the things. If it's that coffee, you can cut back on the coffee. And I know cutting back on coffee is not going to make you rich, but one thing we are trying to do is build habits. So, it's like, I talk about the snowball effect. You start with small things, and then you're able to get the bigger things. If you're watching DVR all the time, it may be time to let the cable go. We may just, I'm only streaming on, Netflix. I know it's my kids. They don't even watch the cable anymore. It's YouTube. So, what am I really giving Comcast $300 a month for on cable when I'm really only using 105 of it on the internet? So really being true to yourself, writing it down. Okay, this is where my money's going, reviewing your bank statements. Sometimes I tell people, try to operate on just cash, or you can really track your credit card statements and your bank statements and really see where your money's going. So before we can really dive into creating that budget, we need to track our spending habits for a month and see where we can cut back. Number four, I think, with technology, it really helps us automate your finances as much as possible. That way, things are being paid on time. That's part of budgeting, making sure we're staying on time. And as you set these things up, you can I tell people, you build a calendar and you can see when it's going out, where it's going, you kind of run it like that. So just like a company does, they know when and where the money's going. And I think when you automate your finances as much as possible, and that's even money coming in with direct deposit. We avoid that check cashing fee. I'm not sure people still use check cashing places, but obviously they do because I see them around. But automating the process of the money coming in and the money going out Let's really utilize technology to really track, our finances like that. Let me just jump over here. I had a comment over here. What up, King? My guy. So, the next thing is making a plan to save money each month. A while back, we talked about, you want to build that emergency fund. And sometimes you got to cut back from life. 73% of Americans live check to check. That's fact. What that means, if you're not familiar with it, if you weren't to receive a paycheck from work, it just throws everything off. Like you might be out of the game completely. But the thing is, like I was talking to my son, and he gets money and he just blows it. And I had to tell him, we have this term, we call it bread. And I said, it's not really bread. Like it does not expire. It's not going to go bad. It's okay to put some to the side. So, as an adult, you're, the head of a household, you got a family or you're planning for something. Let's really say, what? Let me look at all my finances and I'm going to cut back on these and I'm going to save a portion of that over here. So let's really try to come up with a plan to be saving each month because as we go into the next one, you'll see why we want to save and start using that money for positive things. So the next one is I want you to invest your savings wisely. Stock market craze is here, cryptocurrency, NFTs. It's all types of ways you really can be making money without just keeping your monies in the bank. But with this budget, we'll have a slot for what we're saving for our emergency fund and what we're saving to invest. So as I tell all my clients and students that every dollar needs to have a job, and we're going to assign a job to every dollar. So some dollars are going to get directly invested, some dollars are going to get saved. So that's the thing about, when we're creating this budget, we want to make sure that we know where the money's going, we know what's coming in, we're making sure we're spending it wisely, and we're planning for the future. And like I said, planning for the future can be college for kids, retirement fund, vacation fund. You might be like me, I want a boat. I'm going to get a boat eventually. But that's in my budget, So some things, those trips to the mall that I once did, it might not be once a week. It might not be twice a month. It might be every other month. But there's, I have goals that I want to set, and I really had to get out of that mindset of just long as I'm earning it, I can just spend it, and that's what I was doing. So, to kind of circle back to where I started, with tax season. And like I said, I've been doing this for like 14 years, and I see so many people get this lump sum of money. And I'm talking, we giving out refunds, 6 grand, 8 grand, 12 grand, 15,000. Like it's a lump sum of money. And I ask a lot of people, well, what's your plan for it? What you going to do with it? And some of the answers I get, is a trip or a bag and this and that. And, I'm asking, the living situation. And, or you get the person that's buying a new car every month. It's like the budget is the plan, So I'm really kind of asking, like, well, where's your budget? Like, bring your budget in, let's review it and see how we can really utilize this refund to either get you ahead or get you caught up, because like I said, life has this thing of taking the money from you. A lot of people have this phrase I hear, I owe myself something. I worked hard all year, this is my reward, and I gotta go out and get this. And it's like that temporary drug, that temporary high of going to the mall and balling out. And trust me, I know it, I was there. I would go to the mall and drop 5 grand, and I felt like I owed it to myself. I worked hard, so let me go out and buy these sneaks. The thing about it, with designer gear, if you in the designer clothes, you can't wear. I can wear my Air Maxes every day if I want. Nobody's gonna say anything to me. I wear the same Gucci sneaks. We can talk about. So it's like you buy these expensive things, and I can't even wear it every day. But seeing people go through and blow this money, this 8 grand that you and your girlfriend, y'all can get together and buy a building to run your business. You could go ahead and get that house. I hear you. I hate my landlord. All right, well let's correct the credit and let's get a house. I'm tired of riding around in the squatter. Well, let's correct the credit and go get a car that's reliable. You keep buying these squatters, or sometimes you got to get out of life to get ahead of life. So, I just really want to see people before you come into the tax office, or I have some clients that are a little bit more diligent about their spending. Like they're getting the quote and they're telling me, okay, don't put it through yet. Let me get my budget together. Then you can put my tax return through. So I know what I'm doing with the money. And I told the story a while back. I had a client. She just kept buying cars. And I said, well, how about we put a little bit down on the car, put the rest in the bank account, put the car note on auto draft, and by the time the money runs out, we're back at tax season again. And she did it, and she was like, it made the rest of my year so much easier. I got a reliable car to get to work. I'm able to save more. She started saving for a home. And she was like, I just got out of the mindset of just get the taxes, go on a trip, buy a bag, go to the mall. Like she said, my mindset kind of changed from there. And then she even said it started making her realize what was important, what wasn't important. She started putting more time with her family. So that's the thing. Like finances can really control, how you think, how you act towards people. So it's like with the budget, and you're clear with the budget, it'll help you operate better, and it did that for me. Some won't agree with the changes that you make in life. You're going to lose some friends, and be okay with that because you have a goal. So, the thing is, I really kind of got of the mindset of just earning and spending, and we'll talk about net worth on another, Wealth Wednesday, but having a budget helps you build that net worth. You hear people talk, what's the net worth? And having a budget to help you build that. So, just to recap, number one, you got to commit to it. Only you know exactly where you want to be, what you want out of life. So I say, with the budget, the first step is commit to the future of you. What do I want out of this? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to give up? Am I willing to go from the Mercedes Benz to a Chevy for a little while? Am I willing to get rid of the cable? Am I willing to stop eating at Del Frisco's? Am I willing, whatever it may be, am I willing not to travel once a month? Am I willing not to go to the club every weekend like I used to do? So before you are really willing to make that commitment, I'm not going to say that the budget won't work, but the likelihood of it working is very, very slim because you're not committed to it just yet. So commit to the future you is the first step to me that you need to really have for budgeting. And then the next thing is it kind of goes hand in hand with the first step. Like I said, is determine what you need and want out of life. And like I said, it's the same thing. If you're by yourself or you got a partner, you and your partner, you guys know exactly what you want out of life, and we build that into budgeting. Going into number 3, just like I said, we're doing a little recap here. I want to track your spending for the month and see what you can cut back on. And as you can see, we're just building on keeping it real with yourself. Track it down, get a notebook. You can use every phone has a budgeting tool, but really get in there and really be honest with yourself. How many times am I going to the Chinese store? How many times am I really going to Wawa, I get gas, and I go in for coffee, and now I got coffee and a snack and this and that, and stopping at Wawa every day. I'm spending $13 a day in Wawa twice a day. On my way in, on my way out, and really just keeping it real with yourself and say, you know what? I go buy the lunch and make a sandwich, and I can cut back there. And like I said, not only is it just about saving money, but we're changing habits. We're gaining momentum. Okay, if I cut Wawa out, I can cut this out. So it's about building habits, changing habits, and moving forward. Number four, like I said, for me with the budgeting, I took some of the legwork out. I'm no longer calling Pico. I'm not calling the credit card company. Everything's on auto draft. Um, I know it's paid on time. I know how much it is. It's not changing a month. It may fluctuate here and there, but I'm taking that thought process to, having to make sure I do it manually. I'm taking that out of my life. Number five, like I said, make a plan to save each month. We want to be saving to invest, and we want to be saving for our emergency fund. You'll get different rules of thumb for emergency fund, how much it should be, how much it shouldn't be. We can cover that. There's a calculator I have that I can share to show you how you can kind of calculate what your emergency fund should be. Um, but we definitely we want to be saving two ways. Okay, saving for the future and saving for the just in case. So we want to make a plan, and a lot of times that money that we cut back on, that's going to come over to our savings side. And last but not least is invest your savings wisely. Um, I'm not going to tell you not to get into the stock game, but I would do some knowledge and get some knowledge, get some research before you got 10 grand. I wouldn't go just put it all in the stock market. Like learn what you're putting your money into. And sometimes investing your savings wisely may be into education to make more money. Investing in your credit, investing in your children. So like what your investment is, there's no limit on what an investment can be. But we just want to be making sure that we're not wasting time. We want to do it wisely. So that's some things that I did to get my budget and my life in order. I know if you're on Instagram, I believe Facebook, we do have a special going right now that for our financial coaching, we're offering sessions at a huge discounted rate. We can go ahead and create your budget specifically for you. I would love to help you with that. 2022, I want to see people win. I want to see us get off the financial hamster wheel of hustling backwards. I want to see us get out of the mindset of looking rich, and let's really get to being rich. So appreciate you guys joining me here on Wealth Wednesday again. I'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys keep tuning in. Any suggestions that you want us to talk about on Wealth Wednesday, feel free to email, text it, drop it in DM, wherever. We're always looking for suggestions. Take care. As I always say, man, go out there, get active, man. If you want it, go get it. It's not coming for you. And I'll see you guys next week.